going to show you how easy it is to needle felt a small chicken and share some of my most helpful needle felting tips along the way. So let's get started. First, I made a simple drawing of what size and shape I wanted my chicken to be, so I can use it as a template to check my chicken against now and again. This free template is available to download from the link in the description below.
Hello, my name is Rabbit.
What are you doing?
I'm practicing my chicken so that I can talk to her.
Okay. So I'm using a reddish-brown carded Corriedale wool. I'll put details of where I got it from in the description, but you can use any reddish-brown coloured wool that you have. I've rolled it up and folded the end from the right-hand side inwards. This will make the right side of the cylinder slightly thicker, which will become the head, and the thinner left side will be the tail. Spread the wool out as you go to make sure the wool on the left is thinner and less dense. Take a 36 gauge triangular needle or a medium thick needle if you have one and start stabbing along the cylinder. Keep rotating while you stab. Once the wool is no longer unravelling, bend the wool up into a U shape, and while holding the wool in this shape, stab all round the end of the cylinder and along its back and sides. Felting it while holding it in the shape you want it will fix it into that shape. I've been using a multi-needle tool with 2 needles in it for the body and the head, but you might find it easier to shape the tail to a thin point with a single needle. Don't forget to angle your needle in the direction you want the wool to go, and regularly check the shape against the drawing. Please don't forget to click the like button if you're enjoying this content. By doing this, you'll help other needle felters find this video. Shape the head slightly narrower at the top and make sure you stab straight down into the base to make it flat, so that it can easily sit without falling over. To make the beak, roll up a small amount of bright yellow wool into a small cylinder that is again thicker at one end than the other. Holding it with a thick needle so that you don't stab your fingers, keep rotating and stab it all round to form a cylinder that gets thinner at one end, leaving the other end unfelted to make it easier to attach it. Pin this beak to the head, making sure you have it in the right place, and stab all around the base of the beak to attach it to the head. For the chicken's comb, roll up a piece of red wool into a small cylinder and stab it on one side, then turn it over and stab it on the other. This will make a slightly flat piece. Then, to make the humps on the top of the comb, stab 2 ridges into the top edge of the piece. This gives you something like a flat cloud shape. You don't need to felt this too firmly. If it's less firmly felted, it will be easier to attach it to the head by stabbing all round the base. Then roll up another small piece of red wool to make a blob shape for underneath its beak, which Google kindly told me was called the chicken's wattles.
What?
Wattles.
Wattles?
Yeah, wattles.
What are wattles?
I've just said that the thing's under the beak, apparently. Anyway, stab this blob, leaving one end unfelted for attaching. Use a pin to hold it in place while you attach it. Next, I'm getting 2 pieces of white wool, roughly the same size. Roll them between your fingers to feel whether they're the same amount of wool. This will help you get them the same size and shape. Holding the wool with a thick needle, keep rotating and stabbing at all angles into the white wool to form a small ball, and repeat for the other eye. Make sure these eyes are firmly felted, as this will make the next stage of felting the pupils much easier. If you'd like more tips on getting your eyes, mouths and details looking really neat, I have a handy downloadable PDF available giving lots of detailed instructions and handy tips on needle felting eyes and face details. I'll put a link in the description below. Pin the eyes into the head, making sure that they're right next to each other. You can use black-headed pins to work out where the position of the pupils will go. Attach the white of the eyes by stabbing all around the edge into the head. Try not to flatten the eyes or change their shape too much while you're doing this. Take 2 very small pieces of black wool and roll them between your fingers, making sure they're the same amount of wool as we did before. When you remove one of the pins, the pinhole should guide you as to where to put the pupil. Keep stabbing in the centre where you want the eye to be, and angle your needle in from the edges of the wool into where the pinhole was, so that you get a nice neat pupil. Take your time over this part. It can really make a big difference to your chicken. Then do this for the second eye.
Oh dear, you've made a mess of that chicken's eye.
You need to have a bit more faith. If this happens to you and your pupil looks misshapen, don't panic. Just keep stabbing into the centre. The more you keep stabbing the wool inwards, the smaller the pupil will get. Angle your needle in the direction you want the wool to go. Keep checking the second pupil looks in the right place compared to the first. in that it's the same size. To make your chicken less fuzzy and get a nice smooth finish, go over the chicken's body with the finest needle you have. 40 or 42 gauge triangular needle would be good. If you drag your needle across the surface, this will help catch any loose fibres and reduce the amount of holes you can see. Then you can trim any fibres left with some scissors, just to get that really smooth finish.
Hello, my name's Rabbit.
Anyway, there's several common needle felting mistakes you might be making, which when corrected will make your needle felted items look great. And I share what they are and how to correct them in this video. I don't just show you one beginner's mistake, I investigate 7 different errors and tell you the secret to making your items look amazing. Thanks for watching.